And a very warm welcome. It is warm as well to the final stage of the Tour of Poland. And what a finale we have in prospect. 3 tours up the Karpacz Hills. Not enough to split the pack yesterday, but many were close to breaking points, that's for sure. Today, well, we stay on the same course, but 7 times up the hill for the field, with the finish at the top at Karpacz Górny. As far as predictions go, well, we reckon Liquigas are the team to beat. They're certainly in hot pursuit of at the moment and have been winding in most of the breakaways. So we'll take a look at the stage map. We are finishing up on the top of the hill at Karpacz Górny. It's a lovely little mountain resort, you have to say, and well, it's a tough one today. This is how they started out. The finish is rather interesting. There it is. That's our loop around and round and round the same old hills. And if you look at the profile, look at that. Sawtoothed it looks. The 2 escapees, by the way, there's 2 braces, if you like, 2 pairs have gone for it. It wasn't indeed Mr. Cioni, it's Johan van Summeren, the Belgian, who does a lot of riding down in the Ardennes, and as a result it is he that is riding alongside the number 94, Hubert Schwab from Switzerland. So the boys with Hills experience have come to the fore today.
And dangerous too, because Johan van Summeren from the Predictor Lotto team is lying 15th on general classification, only 19 seconds down on our leader Fischer, wearing the leader's jersey at the moment. So that's a danger move. They've got to do something about that one.
Well, it's not over yet by any means. There's a whole raft of riders who are 19 seconds off the pace here, and they're starting to pick it up here, David. Just having a look at the front of this group, they've started to make the break, and Liquigas suddenly know that they've got something to work for here, and they're going to have to work hard. Larsen at the point at the moment, it's with Brugin. Brugin has done so much of the day's work, particularly in the mountains classification. He's been picking up points all over the place. They're being chased down at the moment by Quickstep and Liquigas riders. It's Schwab alongside Van Summeren. There they are, Van Summeren just at the point of this little pair, and then behind them it is the main peloton. But the peloton is starting to get sight of these pair here, as you can see, and they're starting to break off here. And well, one of the Astana riders has gone for it, and some backup as well for Van Summeren from Predictor Lotto. They've sent a rider off, and suddenly we're asking questions of Liquigas here, and they'll be asking questions of themselves. Riders just dropping off and trying to back up and bring along Murillo Fischer and Filippo Pozzato of Liquigas at the moment. It's starting to break up, David. It's the final climb here, and it could be that it ends strung out like this.
Well, certainly those, I think the move when Van Summeren went across, that was causing lots of danger, because I think they weren't too worried about the rider from the green and white here from the Unibet team. I don't think they're too worried about him, because they thought they might catch him on the climb, and they also thought that our long leader here would go 1,000 deaths. But that move that came across then, putting Van Summeren across there and Predictor Lotto, we haven't seen much of it. No, he's starting to react here as well, so that's a good move then for him, because the leader has decided he's got to get himself out.
He's got a wingman as well alongside him from Liquigas, sitting just behind him, and they've suddenly decided that they have to make a move. I think that might have been Cioni for Predictor to go up and just help out Van Summeren out there as well. So they're sending sort of satellite riders out here just to try and test the peloton, and part of that escape group, that's the new escape group, not these 2 that we're looking at the moment, who are our race leaders at the moment. Murillo Fischer is involved. That's fascinating. I wonder if it's Pozzato's gone with him.
Well, we'll have to wait and see on that one, because looking back what's happened with Fischer so far, remember how the first prologue stage was cancelled because of the wet and weather where they had the team pursuit round there. But certainly with Fischer, he was 6th on stage 2. He's always been thereabouts. By the time I went into stage 3, then Fischer was still hovering in the finish line, and still on the general classification was almost in touch then, because they only had 11 seconds down from the leaders all the way back. So he'd been hovering about there all the way through as young Fischer, and I think he's very capable then of reading what's going on and coming up here as he's doing now and throwing his hat in the ring. You don't often see the man in the yellow jersey doing so much work now, but I think he's decided, because about 50 riders behind him, and so many riders, as we say, within what, 20 seconds of his leadership jersey, 19 to be exact, that he's got to do something about it.
Well, just going over a badly laid pipe there that had just sunk ever so slightly, getting a real bump up the backside they were. And this is Van Summeren now working as he has been for some time with Hubert Schwab. But they're being caught now by a little breakaway satellite group at the front of the peloton, and there it is, and it does include the Tour leader Murillo Fischer, who picked that up yesterday. Great work from Pozzato to cross the line, but Fischer is in the yellow jersey. Jose Joaquin Rojas only 7 seconds behind for Case d'Espagne. They still have work to do, and that looks like the Italian road racing champion Visconti for Quick Step, who's also making his move in the all red there.
And is Bert Zberg, the Swiss champion, he's also got stuck in as well. So I think they're looking at the mountain climbers towards this final climb of the day as the one where they're going to show their hand. So they've really got to pull back those breakaway rides. I think they're saying, well, that particularly our two leaders are a bit tiring out now. We'll just start sorting out amongst themselves. But still, with 50 rides coming back together, it's going to be anybody's race.
They're on the rack now. It's the final run for home, and we're going to be passing way by the 10 kilometers to go mark. And then it really is going to be a push, and that's when the burn begins, and they really do have to start thinking about it. Not quite into the climb yet, but it is approaching here, David, and as soon as that happens, it's the last chance really for all of these. We're looking at that's Yann de Boulanger, the butcher, at the front of this group here, wearing the white mountain jersey.
And just moving through then, there's Zberg in the red with the white cross on his back for the Gerolsteiner team, starting to wind this one up. And well, Gerolsteiner, they won this race last year, but they've got David Kopp there lying in third spot on general class, only 9 seconds down. So the fact that they haven't got Schumacher here to defend his championship, having got it here last year, I think they're saying we'll have a go at this. And do bear in mind that Fabian Wegman, who's a very good climber as well for the Gerolsteiner team, can obviously play his part coming towards the back end. So I don't think it's over yet for David Kopp of the Gerolsteiner team. He's got some good help in there.
These two are working very well together, you've got to say, David. They're maintaining the gap here out front. I'm just wondering whether there's anything left in the tanks here for Bruggen in particular. He's kind of warily looking over his shoulders, because there's the chasing pair from Predictor and Quick Step that are just trying to wind those back. Can't quite manage it yet. Van Summeren it is, and Schwab. But equally, the two pairs are staying clear at the moment.
Yeah, this is their territory. This is where the big tall guys can put the power in, because look at the size of that headstock on this fella. He's got to be 6 foot something. He's got to be, well, 6'1", maybe at least. He's certainly well over 6 foot. And you know, and I know, because I'm 6'4", and well, I was, and you are the same thing, that when it comes to when the road goes up, we have enormous trouble with our sheer weight. We can power the big gears round, and look, they're going to get pulled back now. But later on, when the cameras go, if you're watching on Saturday our coverage of cycling for the first time, when you see little mountain goats, and you look at the front of the bike where the headstock is, there's almost no head bearings in there. You can hardly see them all together. So that gives you some idea how tall the guys are by the way that the size of the bike at the front. Not just look, and also the saddle at the back. When you go back even further, you can see how tall they are and how lanky they are. And big guys have enormous trouble climbing up the mountains. Very few big guys can do the big mountains. I mean, Eddie Merckx is probably one of the big fellas who could actually climb up the mountains with his sheer power that took him up the mountains. And you know, it doesn't really happen that easy that tall guys can climb the mountains. And right now, I think we're going to see the little guys saying, "It is our chance. Here we go."
Well, Van Summeren was getting very agitated then. I think I can't work out whether he was calling Hubert Schwab to come up and help him out there, just take the pace a little bit, or whether he was telling the motorcycle to get lost. Either way, he was look, loads of gesturing going on, and 94 just shakes his head, Schwab, and says, "No, there's no way I can do it. You're on your own. I'm just going to have to follow you. I can't help out here." Well, they're taking the lead here. I think this is why he was trying to encourage him, David, because they've just got the lead pair in front of them, and he's calling him through to do a bit of work.
He's under instructions from his team, obviously, because if they want one of their teammates to do well today, like Visconti, who's the Italian champion, and he's a very good little climber, then they have no, they'll be told, sit in the wheels, and don't do anything. And although the chap actually comes to the team manager said no, and it's a bit unfortunate actually that the riders can't always make their own decision. They've been told what to do, which means on the bike ride now that the fellow in the front is spitting nails, and when they get off the bike at the end of it all, he'll pat him on the back and say, "Okay, I know what's going on," but he has to go through the motion and say, "Well, come on, we can catch these two, get stuck in, have a go." But he's under instructions not to do anything about it. And that big, long, tall Langling lad goes away. The other big rider that was very good, of course, Miguel Indurain was a big, tall fella, but the very few tall riders can climb up. Indurain used to get in the wheels, get his time trial, the leader's jersey in there, then he'd sit in all the groups going up the mountains and just sit in the wheels and hang on for grim death. And my God, what a great rider he was. But we've got a different ball game going on here right now. Big guys versus the small guys.
Well, Van Semmeren has actually managed to wind them in here all on his lonesome, because he tried to help out, did Hubert Schwab, just couldn't. So he's decided to do it himself. So four together, they've been the escapees. It's the two pairs, if you like, have suddenly been joined together. They're having a little bit of respite. There's individual breakaways coming from the head of the peloton, and we're just looking down there, and we just spotted the Pro Tour Series leader, Danilo De Luca, wearing the all-white for Liquigas. They've got to think about him as well, don't forget, because points towards the series at the end are going to be important for him, and here they come.
Yeah, it depends if he wants to try and win the thing overall. Well, he's quite happy to come in, you know, in second place behind any of his other teammates, or particularly a young Fischer, because it'd be nice the Brazilian to get a victory here. But you know, yes, I think you're right that he needs the points going in toward the back end of the season to be running out the leader on the Pro Tour Series.
So these four, what can they muster? I think, to be honest, the two chasers here look to be tiring just a little bit, and the fresher of them, see, they're all encouraging each other. Please come through and help us out, they're saying, and so they do. Picks it up brilliantly, and it's Johan Van Semmeren yet again.
Chance to see the team buses on the right-hand side. We don't often see on our coverage, but there they are. These are the team buses that go out, and also the teams that vehicles that carry the bikes and everything else, the big lorries there. And the people say, well, why not have a pro team, this, that, and the other? You have no idea the backup that goes on behind the riders we see on our screen. And now it looks like Rabobank are beginning to throw their hat into the ring. That's fascinating. Is this young William Walker by any chance? Because I'm not quite sure who's going to be their best rider going for this one. It could be somebody they're going to find unexpected, because they've been doing a lot of work earlier on, looking after Graham Brown, who took the first road stage and took the leader's jersey.
Well, Willie Walker as well as Matt Hayman, they were working so hard together. There's three Aussies in there, and they were working their metal. They really were, to help out Graham Brown early on. He's a sprinter. He won't be much of a part of this today. Now, mind you, we've had that wrong before. But they are hills, you see. That's where it does get just a little bit confusing. We've passed the 4 kilometres to go mark, David, and things are running out here for them.
They get caught, I think. I'll say they get caught. All right. Everybody back at home can take part. If you're not involved in bike racing, if you are, you know, take a have a go. Now this is going to make more difficult. They're going to start jumping around.
Well, he's had the legs, and he's been calling for assistance. He wasn't getting any, and he's thought to hell with it. And Johan Van Semmeren has just gone away here for Predictor Lotto, and this is a real attempted break here. He's left those four behind, and suddenly what's going to have to happen now is that the peloton are going to have to pick it up, because he's decided, you know what, I've been calling for help for you guys again and again and again. None of you have given me any, and so I'm going for it. That's the 3 kilometre to go mark. That is a good piece of work. If he can hold on to this, you think he'll get caught? I think he might just keep this.
He's too tall, too long in the legs, and he's doing too much work at the moment. He's gone off now. Yes, he's looking back. Don't look back. I'm sorry, but the thing to do, if you're determined and you chuck out, you just concentrate on riding and riding. Because they're going to catch you, they'll catch you, and they come past you. But if you look back, then you get disillusioned. Just take because he's got a climb coming up here, which as the groups behind him will beginning to accelerate, and the speed at which the mountain guys, look, they're clearing out all the neutral service vehicles out of the way, and they'll be making sure they get out of the way so they can see what's going on.
That's
quite a useful gap, though.
They're a long way back.
This will be tough off the books if he gets it. I'll have to eat my straw hat.
Well, you will. I shall put some mayonnaise on it for you, because he's Belgian. He loves a bit of that with his chips, and have the rest had their chips here. This is an absolutely superb effort from Johan Van Semmeren. It wasn't the radio car. He was calling for help. He wasn't getting it at all from anyone around him, and all of a sudden he's decided, you know what, I'm going to try and take this one all on my lonesome. And for the time being, that's exactly what he's doing, because the peloton hasn't managed to respond yet, David.
It hasn't, and I think they've just thought, well, with these guys down the road, we don't know a lot about them. One of them has been out all day long. He must be suffering, so let's go for them. And this young lad here, by the way, in the Espoirs Under-23 Championships at Hamilton, he was second there, so he's got a bit of a useful career behind him, and but he's not done much since he turned pro after that one, just been one of those workhorses of his team, so he's going to catch people napping here. They wouldn't be knowing what's going on, and he's just rocketed off down the road, and he's doing a great ride here.
He's doing a super job, and you saw Danilo De Luca being dragged along by Masesh Bodnar out there, the 23-year-old, just trying to get him back into it, but this is going to be Johan Van Semmeren's day. I feel certain of it, and he's still still accelerating here. He's doing a great job. He knows what he's capable of, and clearly those around him who were the co-escapees just didn't have the legs to do it, David.
Oh, well, bear in mind that his teammate Clill Evans finished in second spot in this race last year, so I'm sure if he's watching, in fact, you know, he's racing out in Spain, but if he gets chances to catch this one up, he will be very pleased to see his teammate having a go right now, and he's certainly so determined. But do bear in mind, we've got the steepest, nastiest bit yet to come, and everybody who's a bike rider knows suddenly the man with the hammer can get you. They've been going very, very quickly indeed in this particular race so far. I think we're running just at about
next marker by is going to be
40 k's an hour,
1 kilometre to go, and I'm just looking back there, and the only man who's anywhere near him is the 94 Hubert Schwab, who Quick-Step can't get anywhere near for the time being, and Predictor Lotto might well have done it. He's starting to believe it. They'll be zipping up his jersey in a moment, waiting for the plaudits. Can the rest of the peloton get back at him? They're wrestling and fighting, and it's Liquigas who are thinking about points for Danilo De Luca, the Pro Tour Series leader. It's going to be the 1 kilometre to go mark. Next inflatable barrier by. Unbelievable personal effort here by Van Summeren.
Long, tall, lanky lad here, undoubtedly not carrying much weight, but got the powerful long legs here. And as it's sort of a gradual sloping climb, it's suiting the moment, but when it kicks up a little bit more towards it, has his legs got enough left in them? Because the way he came across to our leading riders and then went straight past them, he chucked his hat in the ring, and he's still going around here. What a great performance. I mean, there's going a great turn up for the books, because usually we get riders who've got a good reputation over the years. Schumacher last year, Kim Kirken the year before that, Iverson the year before that. Looking down the list of winners we've had over the years, people like Fondres has won this race, Bruchard's won this race. We've had lots of top riders, top names, and here's a rider who's going to surprise a lot of people. This is a great performance.
It is. He's not going to get caught here. He goes by the Eurosport 2 light bulb inflatable there. There's the pack behind, and well, it's all mechanical. There's nobody on a bicycle within sight at the moment, and he's coming home for victory here, David. It's just flattening off in the final kilometre here, and this is where the joy begins. He's got to keep the belief, though, and drive it in. What a superb individual effort from Johan Van Summeren of Belgium. He made the escape. He tried to drag his partners along with him, his fellow escapees. They just couldn't stay with him. He was begging for assistance. There's the 1,000 metres to go mark, and he's not going to get caught here, David.
What a performance. And looking back down there, there's that gap still. I've seen people caught in the last kilometre, by the way, if they explode from behind, but the trouble is at the moment the main group can't see what's going in front. There's a lot of traffic. I'm surprised the judge have allowed so many vehicles still to be in here, because Schwab is hanging on for second spot, and I think our early leader is still in there and now back in third. So well, so Lamprey team won't chase that one down.
I don't think they've got a chance at all. It's a snowflake in hell's chance of getting this back. Look at the gap. Oh, and we have got the Rabobank leader who just went off and on his own just to try and get back into this one. Now, has he got any legs? Because this is the tiring Johan Van Summeren up in front here. I think he's going to make it, but it's going to be a cruel, cruel blow if he gets caught right at the end here. Who is that, David, from the Rabobank crew who are starting to wind them in? You reckon it's one of the Aussies? We'll wait and see. Here he come. It's the final drive for home for Van Summeren. He's out of the saddle. He's back in it. He'll be back out of it in a moment. He's just trying to power their way home here. It's a great individual effort from the Belgian. He's had the grit, and finally he's got the run down here. He's going to take it, surely, as the rest of the crew have just been left in his wake here. The crowd know what he's done. We know what he's done as well. What a day to do it. 7 massive climbs, and he has to look back. 500 metres remaining. They're going to be the longest of his career here, David.
But they're coming up quick from behind, but I think they've left it too late.
Now. It's almost a downhill. They've trimmed it to this area here. It's a very, very gentle incline. Will they get it?
What a performance for this young rider. Hasn't had a victory since he turned pro, and now chosen his time exactly right. Again, I think the big top boys back there looked at each other far too long, and so this is going to be a real big turn up for the books then. But congratulations, just shows you that in bike racing, when you suddenly think you've got a chance and you've been biding your time, go for it. There you can see the cameraman there with a little camera on his shoulder, picking up the picture you're getting back at home. But do bear in mind, there's all hell let loose, which we're not seeing here, because there's still a lot at stake for the second and third and fourth place. There's money at stake. There's points in the Pro Tour Series as well. So even though he's going here, trying to get the victory, which he so well deserved. Behind us, absolute mayhem with the chasing.
Well, the finish line in sight now. He had one last long look to see if there was anybody there to get him, and there is not. Everyone behind him is on a motorcycle, and they are cheering him through. There will be beer aplenty for this young man. The Belgians love their beer, and he's earned every single drop of it on this day. Absolutely superb effort by Van Summeren. Remember that name. 100 meters to go. Out he comes out of the saddle, and he's going to bring this one home. Superb job, all on his own today. He was calling for help. He got it nowhere. It's all his own. This is a race that he has just wrung the neck off today.
Absolutely. Then, for all his history since he was way back to the Spa, turned pro in 2003 for Quick Step David Timon, went to Relax, then David Timon, then he came on to this team. He's got the victory here. That's his greatest performance since he turned pro. Chapeau.
Chapeau indeed. We doff our hats to him. Absolutely brilliant. Well, they were chasing down, and Rabobank decided to go for it as well here, but he barely crossed the line alone, and in fact the gap wasn't a big one in the end, you have to say. What's that going to be? 19, 20 odd seconds. Here we are, 22 seconds it was.
As Gassin crosses the line, the remnants of the race are coming through here still. There's points, and I can see the white jersey of the Pro Tour leader is still trying to get in there to get some points on the Pro Tour series. I think he finished
a fine effort by Daniel De Luca. I think he finished fourth. That was a superb push for the line, and he only just nudged it across. And how painful is that? Round of applause for Mr. Van Summeren. What have you done? You've won a stage of the Tour of Poland absolutely brilliantly.
That was a great performance by this rider, no doubt about it, and certainly there'll be elations. Well, yes, I know, because he was, what I said earlier on, at 19 seconds down on the general classification.
Place he was.
And he came in, what, about 13 seconds ahead of the next place rider.
21 seconds behind, in front of the next place rider.
And he got 10 seconds, so he's got the thing as well. He's run overall.
Wow. We've only just figured it out. What has he done? What a way to go. Unbelievable.
Look how tall he is as well. I say long gangling legs. I must give my apologies when I said earlier on the little mountain goats will catch these big tall guys towards the back end, but he just showed me entirely wrong. He must be 6'3" by the looks of him, but he's certainly done a great ride there.
Johan Van Summeren started today back in 15th place. He was on 19 seconds adrift. He gets the bonus for crossing line first, and of course the gap counted. Well, what a way to pick it up, David.
Absolutely, and I think that his team are going to be very, very pleased indeed with that one. The back end of the season to still be in there getting a victory at this particular stage, particularly this race, which dates back the Tour of Poland. That goes back right to 1928, so it's a very traditional race. It's part of the Pro Tour series, and that's one that he can add to his palmares, and my goodness, that's really popped him up there, hasn't it? Stage victory, and it looks to us the overall victory as well. My goodness.
So, wow, what about that? I have to say, hats off as well to Daniel De Luca, who clearly just left his Liquigas colleagues behind. And here comes Mario Fischer, and how far down the line he'll be handing that one over today. That's a long way off, David.
It is, and I was thinking that he could stay with it because he's a little guy, and I thought he got the power to climb these climbs, but I think he just, look at he's puffing and panting. That last climb, because he was in that main group, suddenly blew the whole thing apart, which just, I think, just shows how Van Summeren was going, because he caused the damage.
Well, when he was gesturing, David, it was for help amongst his co-riders, because he knew he had something and didn't want to burn it all right there and then. They couldn't help him, and in the end, he just had to go for an individual race. They're being passed by those who finished at the top. Oh, amazing. Well, there is Mario Fischer of Brazil and Liquigas coming across the line. He knows that today wasn't to be his day. I think if it had been one less climb, he'd have had a chance.
Probably, but then again, he chose the moment to go Van Summeren absolutely perfectly. And again, I don't want to be disrespectful, because all the rest of the team will look around and say, oh, we don't know him, you know. And they do know. They know where the threat is coming from. And they're all marking each other and thinking, well, bit by bit, we'll pull the other riders in. And then they got it all wrong, didn't they? Well,
you just pick up a copy of Het Volk tomorrow, because Van Summeren will be on the front cover. You could believe me.
Absolutely. And, well, I think we're going to see some more of that rider, because although he hasn't done much so far, he's obviously learned his trade, and perhaps at long last was given the opportunity on this occasion, because before, when you got a rider coming into the scene, nearly
4 minutes down the leader. Unbelievable. That stings.
Well, bear in mind they were only, about a few seconds down on those breakaways by the time they came over that final lap. Gee,
just shows you what
absolutely
Van
superb.
Sumeren did. Amazing. Here he is. What a drive for home it was by the young Belgian. Absolutely brilliant. He's a name that you're going to have to watch out for, because that level of individual push and verve there was something to behold. It really was. Johan Van Sumeren has won this. When he crossed the line, he almost fell off the bike. So much was the effort that he's expended. Tries to celebrate. Look at this, and then almost loses the front end of the bike. Look, just gets across. Oh my goodness. Out of nowhere, Predictor have taken this one, courtesy of this man. Wow, what a superb run by Johan Van Sumeren of Belgium. It really confounded us all.
It has. And I'm sure that when Cadel Evans, who was second in this race last year, gets to know about it, I think he's riding second in the Tour of Spain, which we're covering on Eurosport at the moment. So I think he'd be the first to send him an email and congratulate him, because that's interesting that the Predictor Lotto, they've got a man who's just won this race. They've got a fellow in the Tour out there in Spain who could probably do well there. He's lying second, might have a chance of going for first overall. So what a nice way to end the season for the Predictor Lotto.
This is how it finished. Daniel De Luca finished in 4th place. Yep. That is points for him, and he holds on to that Pro Tour Series leadership. Fantastic. Van Sumeren, though, finished ahead of Robert Gesink of Rabobank in the end. And Kim Kirken of T-Mobile just getting involved as well for the final stage podium. But what about that man, young Van Sumeren?
Gesink, by the way, was also 19 seconds down on the GC this morning.
And we look further down. Thomas Volker could well have done better, and probably hoped he would have done. And Jens Voigt as well. Some big names in there that Sumeren has beaten. I'm impressed.
Well, Gesink would also got a few seconds bonus there as well, so he could be moving up on the general classification.
There it is. He takes the win ahead of Robert Gesink of Rabobank. So far ahead with these guys of those who'd been in the frame earlier on. Kim Kirken finishing in 3rd place, and we look further down. Daniel De Luca 8th overall on this tour, with Rojas finishing 9th. Well.
Kim Kirken, victor in this race in 2005, was sitting in there all day long, and all the way through the race so far. We hadn't seen him do very much, but he came in good toward the back end, so that's giving himself a position up in the top 3, which is jolly useful for him too. Well done to Kim.